everybody, from bright and sunny Bucharest, Romania. We are on day 2 of the International 10, where the teams have gathered to see once and for all who the king is of Dota 2 for this year. And we have a lot of stuff to cover today because yesterday was quite a day. Lots of 2-0s. Lots of 1-1s, actually. Well, we started off the day with lots of 2-0s, and then we went into lots of 1-1s. But here with me to start off today are some fantastic people. We have Tsunami, Jenkins, and Insania. Actually, today we have 2 Insanias, Insania and Insania, because Jenkins has officially announced, yet to be announced on Twitter, exclusively on this stream, announced that he is rebranding to Insania as well, completely matching names. So.
It's never happened in Dota 2 history, and I believe it never will again after the legal threats that you've put towards me do eventually come to fruition, but I hope that that will be something that I can deal with.
Do you know how he capitalizes his tag? Because then I'll believe your rebrand. He has different capitals and different lowercases.
I do, of course.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Capital I.
Oh, you already messed up. You already messed up.
I went with the iPhone look, you know, the small I.
Yeah.
Wait,
And then
is it lowercase I, capital N,
Yeah.
capital S?
so good.
Lowercase a, capital N, lowercase I,
What's the last
Yeah.
one?
capital A.
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh, she did her homework.
That's pretty impressive.
Good job.
I'm
Good
literally.
job, Insania. You got the rebrand.
Now you get the
Hey, you
nickname.
can't do that. That's my brand.
No, you're Jenkins Dota back. You're back to Jenkins Dota. Okay, so today we have a lot of stuff, and we have 4 streams. We have a multicast, 4 streams of Dota for you to enjoy today, as well as same as yesterday. For those of you who would like to join in the conversation, you can check us out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and chat about it using the hashtag TI10. That's TI10 on social media. So go ahead and get those posts in, get those tweets in, post some edited pictures of the new Insania.
We're the same. I mean, it's a free country, the world.
Sure.
Okay? Nobody's
Okay.
done it before. There's no legal precedent set for that, so we'll see how that goes.
You're already changing your hair to match him. I see you've dropped the frizz look, and you're actually starting to clean up your act a little bit.
Green screen was not
Yeah,
liking
there
the
were some
frizz.
details
I
behind
had
that,
to
but-
get that sorted.
I like it though. I like the little ringlets. It looks like they specifically curled your hair to look like that. Like
Yeah.
it looks very well done.
He has like a Prince look, I think.
I agree. I agree.
Like a
Prince Jenkins.
tyrant prince or like a
No, like
beloved,
more like the loving prince.
but beloved, because you can be a loving prince. that-
beloved.
Yeah,
Beloved.
like the
Oh, okay.
people.
I thought
I don't know.
man,
I don't know
he's
about
like a
beloved
roman-
prince either.
Okay.
He's more of just like a hopeless romantic.
I'll
prince
still
kind of
take
thing.
it.
All right. Well, speaking of beloved, let's check out the standings for our beloved teams for TI10.
Nice.
All 18 of them.
Really.
So we have PSG LGD, which a lot of people probably won't be surprised because of their statistical likelihood of winning TI, sitting pretty with 4-0. We also have Invictus and Virtus Pro at 5-1. And at the bottom, we have quite a few teams that went 0-4 and a couple 0-2s. Team Spirit and Thunder Predator at the bottom of the list in the graphic, but still kind of matching, with some other teams, Team Master T1. SG Esports Quincy Crew kind of following with their 0-2s. But that was day 1. And what I've learned from the panels yesterday is that day 1 is the day where people start learning and start forming the meta. And this is the day where we will really start to see it getting used. Do you agree with that, Tsunami?
Yeah, because I think pre-TI10, 7.30D maybe had 2 weeks, 3 weeks before TI started. So even though it was just a letter patch as opposed to a full-on number patch, still things changed. We hadn't seen 4 heroes in a TI before, so Dawnbreaker, Void Spirit, Hoodwink, and Snapfire, all trying to figure out how they fit in on a TI stage. VP have been trying to figure out Dawnbreaker can be support or core. So all these little things are starting to percolate in the meta, but even the standings in day one group stage, you can't put too much weight in. Like T1 is 0-4, but they had to fight two of the teams that are at the top of their group, so they had the hardest opponents.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we're figuring things out, but we're starting to get hints of information.
So Insania, from a pro player perspective, and I guess Jenkins as well, from a qualifier perspective,
Thank you.
what kind of mentality do you start today off? What mentality do you start day 2 off? Yesterday, is the day where you're learning about the other teams. What is today?
So I think day 1 you come in with basically a month of prep, and everything you've been prepping, that's what you're going to be running during day 1. If your ideas are good, which you're going to see like the teams that are doing really well in the standings, they're probably going to stick to it and they're going to run with those ideas the entire way through. And then you have the teams that did worse. They're most likely going to try to copy some stuff. But I think implementation during day 2 is a little bit hard, because it might be a situation like T1's where you, like you said, run into very tough opponents, and that's why you're struggling. Not necessarily like that your ideas are bad. So I think day 2, some teams might still be a bit stubborn. I think day 3, 4, that's when you really notice it. And once we go out to playoffs, that's like when you make the big adaptations to adjust really and copy the things that you know are broken.
I think there's an element too of between day 1 and day 2 in any tournament. If you did poorly on day 1, you need to find some way to mentally reset. Whether that's like coming up with we lost to the 2 top teams, or just like, look guys, like it was a bad day of Dota. We just played bad, like we're tired or whatever. Like coming up with some reason that you can mentally reset is really important. And I feel like all 5 players have to be on board with that too, because like it just takes one person being off at this level to to throw everything and have a bad day too.
Dude, I was looking at Twitter after I got home yesterday and the games were still going on, and I saw Loda had posted a tweet of him like cheering super hard, and I was like, oh man, did Alliance finally win a series? They won a single game versus Thunder Predator, but you take those 100%. You take those, and mentality is a big part of it. So at this point, I think most of the teams at the top are the ones that have been to a lot of TIs, and the ones at the bottom are the ones who are like the players who are like, oh, okay, this is feeling a little bit out of my element right now. So hopefully they can stick to that mentality, Aiden. And
I think it's just
strong.
a very big, this event, and looking at the way that people are drafting and the way they're approaching it, I think experience plays a huge part in this TI. The meta that's developing, I think, is largely, it's not so much based around specific heroes, but more understanding timings and how to abuse timings and how to create a draft where 5 heroes line up with timings that are better than your opponents. And I think that takes a lot of experience, and I think that's why you see like the teams that have the most experienced captains are doing the best.
So how does that apply to Virtus Pro? Because a lot of people say Virtus Pro is like a new team, very young, a little bit of inexperienced with LAN. So how does that apply to them? Because they're 5-1, they're sitting pretty 5-1.
Right. So I think VP, they're probably the exception to the other teams. Like you have all the 4 Chinese teams that are doing really well.
Right.
With the exception of Aster. And then you have OG and EG that looked pretty hot yesterday, in my opinion. VP, I think they are like the pub stars. They kind of probably just playing off a feeling a lot. They just play a lot of games. They've grinded the patch out. They probably figured out like these things are really, really good. So we're just going to stick to these things and figure out how to make those work.
I think the way that they play though, like plays into what you're saying about timings, where when I was looking at all of their replays from like the previous DPC seasons, they don't have like, oh, they're offlaners like always building pipe and mech and items like that. It's like they don't have specific roles in the game. It's kind of like whatever fits the game, but also whatever fits like how the game is going. It's like you were talking about like the Slardar yesterday, like being supported so we can get the early Blink Dagger. It's like sometimes they might go like, I don't know, like Echo Saber on that Slardar if like the game is going really well. They don't have set roles on that team, it feels like. They're just like a bunch of really good pub players, and whoever's doing well just gets supported by the rest of the team.
I see. Well, that was yesterday. We still have some meta forming, maybe not necessarily today's the day for it, as Insania mentioned, but we do have a new day, brand new day, day 2. Let's take a look at the schedule for today. We have, as we mentioned before, we have 4 streams going on, stream A, B, C, and D. On stream A, LGD versus Secret, OG and Aster, Elephant, and Team Spirit, IG and Virtus Pro, and Secret and Elephant at the bottom at 6 p.m.
Yeah, so Secret has a pretty tough day today. I think they're going up against 2 of the strongest Chinese teams here at this event. I think LGD hasn't looked like they've had any problems with any other teams they've played against so far. But I think Secret is a different beast, and I think this is going to be a really, really interesting game where you're going to see like the European style of like trying to set up a wall versus the LGD style of like going to try to pressure you and create space for Ami to farm. So I think this is the series that I'm looking forward to the most in the morning.
And Secret they beat Spirit, right? And Spirit
Yeah.
was looking really great coming into the event, but then I think Spirit's sitting at the bottom of the groups, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Secret got 2-0'd by Beast Coast, who looked really good. And I think Beast Coast's first opponent was LGD, right? So and then they got 2-0'd by LGD. I think it's possible that Beast Coast is just like looking really sick, and Secret is looking really sick as well. But like today, this is a test to see if like is Secret really this like, finally they're not expected to win the tournament. Actually, VP's kind of like that too, right? Where it's like finally they're coming in and nobody
Right.
is expecting them to win.
Yeah.
There's a lot of storylines that we get to see tested, theories that we get to see tested.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also excited I saw on that stream Quincy Crew and Beast Coast as an NASA person, that general region. I'm a big fan, excited to see what will happen there.
In theory, Quincy Crew has always been the slayers of both the Americans regions.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and Quincy Crew played much to, I'm sure, Jack's disappointment, not as well against Chinese teams as I think they were hoping to do. Whereas I think that VP was originally thought to just be only good in their region, and we're seeing that they've expanded their horizons a little bit.
Other than these matches, what other matches are you excited for?
On Stream D, there was Fnatic versus SG at the very beginning, which I think is going to be like the lower bracket, upper bracket, or possibly even lower bracket elimination kind of threshold for those two teams. And Fnatic impressed me by even taking a game off of Vici. I didn't think that they would even be able to split. I thought some people are hot and cold on Fnatic. I've been cold on Fnatic. After watching them throughout the DPC, they were struggling to make their roster work. And even them making it to the qualifiers, it was a reverse sweep against TNC. They were down 2-0, and then they managed to come back. And so I'm still trying to get a handle on how good Fnatic is, and I think against SG we'll be able to find out.
East Coast actually hasn't played LGD yet, by the way. It was Elephant, which is still like one of the strongest teams in the group. I think Faith Beyond said that Elephant is their biggest opponent, they think, and they like weren't trying for the whole year, which is like a crazy claim. But like it was.
Wait, they were saying Elephant wasn't trying.
Elephant wasn't like really trying that hard, yeah. And I know it sounds crazy, but it was the boy Arthur Leone,
Right.
And so he was translating that. He's very good at being like, yeah, this was a joke that they were making, and it's like that didn't seem like it was a joke. So, Elephant's quite strong. But Quincy versus Beast Coast, I feel like that's one of those things where like Beast Coast I see as the type of team that can take a game off of like any team on an international level. Like you can throw them against Secret, whoever, like the top teams in the world, and they can beat them. But then you throw them against Quincy Crew, and I would actually put Quincy Crew as the favorites there, just because in NASA like, we have so much experience playing with each other. Even in pubs, it's like we know all of each other's heroes. Like Whisper was just owning on Timbersaw versus Team Secret, and it's like everybody in NASA knows Whisper Timbersaw, right? It's like he's one of his top heroes.
I think he tinkered us at some point. He plays Tinker.
He's a
a lot.
tinker,
plays
yeah.
Tinker as well.
I know he
he's a
tinkered us at
cheesy,
some point. Yeah.
cheesy boy. Yeah.
We haven't seen that yet, though, right? We haven't seen Tinker come out
No,
yet.
there's I think
Shockingly.
maybe 30 uncontested heroes after day one, which from some perspective could be kind of high. In my opinion, that's like a pretty low number to have after one day of a group stage. But Tinker's one of them. There hasn't been any Ricky. I don't know how you feel about Ricky, Aiden.
Not a huge fan right now, but I think if anybody would pick it, it's probably going to be OG, right?
Yeah.
Like a Thompson, Ricky mid. I
You
could
think
see
with
happening.
like with the dart?
Yeah,
Like you go
probably.
dart with
We
your
actually
hammer or
played that a
something?
bit in scrims. I just remembered now. I forgot about it entirely. But
As 4 position or mid?
no, so Boxy played it off lane, and he would buy Diffusal and just play it like a carry. And then once you reach 20 minutes, he buys a dart, and it's actually stupidly strong. It's like one of those spells that you just don't expect to do. It just stuns you forever.
And it's 1,000 range.
Yes, and you can't see the little thing. You're just out of the game suddenly. You're like,
For
okay.
4 seconds.
It's like Brewmaster Cyclone, where it's like you just take one guy out of the fight. It's like
Yeah.
if there's an Omni Knight or something on the enemy team that you like can't quite kill, it's like, well, just stun him for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very underrated.
It's
Yeah.
nice, yeah.
I actually just forgotten about it. You just mentioned it
Yeah,
now.
that's what I'm
brought it
saying.
back
Like,
to
I'm
me.
surprised it was uncontested. Were there any uncontested heroes that you were surprised, or heroes that you didn't see as much of? I know your most banned was Pango, most picked was Pango.
Yeah, yeah.
That was your prediction?
He thought way too much about it.
I
He was
really
like,
did. Yeah,
nobody's
I
gonna ban Pango.
I
so.
did. It was like so next level. You like previous level yourself,
Yes.
which happens a lot.
Yes.
In
Because
Dota.
currently there are only two 100% contention heroes now. It's just Io and Monkey King. Every
Really?
single game.
Really?
Wait,
Oh,
Tiny
There's been a
was-
tiny
Tiny-
unfocused
Tiny,
ban.
Tiny has been let go at some point.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
It's only Io and
Interesting.
Monkey King now.
Wow,
Wow.
that's surprising. I mean, Io's looked insane. That strat that LGD did yesterday with Lycan getting the Dom and then sharing control with Io and then Io running around with the Dom, it's so good. Because Lycan, when he doesn't have the ult, like he doesn't care about having the Dom. He's just hitting creeps the whole time. So you get like this core Io while having a support Io. It's
pretty cool.
genius.
Core IO kind of wrecked the DPC a lot this year, so maybe, with LGD bringing that out, maybe we'll see more Core IO in this tournament meta. Thoughts?
I think Koraya was good. I just think it's a different. You played it kind of differently from earlier in the year. Earlier in
Right.
the year, it was seen more as like you're gonna buy damage items and you're gonna become this unkillable tank.
Right.
But now I think it's more you go these healing items and you're still a core, so you're hitting your timings very, very early into the game, and then you just become an unbeatable beast in
Yeah.
fights at 20 minutes.
It was Jin playing it, so it was a 4-position Io, but he was building like
He was
core.
playing like a 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing like 2, exactly. And then like if you do go late game with Io, it's like you're going to go for like Deso Satanic and then the extra hit talent where you like get a hit when your carry hits. Like you're eventually going to get there, and then at that point it really feels like there's a second carry. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous in the late game.
So one of the things that Insania mentioned earlier was that he really wanted to see Stream A's game, which was LGD versus Secret. So let's talk a little bit about that matchup. What are your thoughts coming into day 2? Do you think, has that changed at all based off of the DPC, or is it really just kind of the same expectation? Secret not performing nearly as well as a lot of people may have thought throughout the year. LGD kind of like just shooting up in popularity and kind of staying at the top. Stonks are at an all-time high, staying up there. What are your thoughts?
I think for me, Secret has always tended to, when they struggled, they've struggled against either South American teams. I think it's like historically at majors and stuff, South American teams seem to like
They're
catch them off
kryptonite.
guard. Yeah. So I don't really judge them too much based off the Beast Coast series. And I think LGD, they had opponents yesterday that could take games off of them, but I think if any team is like specifically prepared to beat LGD, it's Secret, right? They must have a plan. They must have an idea of this is how you beat LGD. So I'm really curious to see what Puppy's like take on this situation is. Like, what is the way to break LGD? Because I think that's something that everybody's asking themselves right now.
If you're willing to show it even during the group stage, like if he does have an idea against beating LGD,
Yeah.
do you think that he would want to
I
use
think
it
so.
now?
I think you want to try it out now and see if it works, because you're going to have a concept of like, this is the way that we beat them. It's not probably going to be heroes specifically. It's going to be some playstyle thing that you're trying to look to find out if it works or not. And I think group stage is the perfect time to do it.
Jenkins, any final thoughts?
I think with LGD, if I was their opponent, I'd be very afraid because one of the elements that I think makes this team so special is the fact that they come up with like fresh concepts on the game that other people haven't thought of or they're unheard of to other people. Like Zhao Wei buying back to farm a creep wave mid is just one of the most insane things that I've ever seen in a competitive game, and then winning. And then seeing that IO shared control stuff happening, it's like LGD is not running out of fresh ideas. And so if you prepped for them, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to matter is the problem.
It's not going to matter. That's a very strong statement.
I mean, it's LGD. I was thinking like, they're gonna fall off. It always happens, but yeah, they were impressive yesterday. They were really impressive.
So, what do you think that strategy would be, Insania? You said that like they're trying to figure out that strategy. Like,
Yes,
how do you
Insania.
take them down?
What is it?
What is it?
What's the strategy?
So I-
Beat LGD.
It's impossible to like come up with the correct answer.
If I knew the answer, I'd probably be there instead of here. But I think when it comes to Secret, I think they're probably one of the best teams that like just figuring people out. I know when I felt like we were doing really hot and we started like slowly taking games off of them during the online period. At some point, I feel like Puppy was like, all right, let's figure out Liquid. They sat down, talked for 5 minutes, and they're like, all right, this is what we're doing. And then we just never beat them again. So I think if anyone can do it, it's Puppy. I don't know what his idea is going to be, and that's why I'm so curious about it. But I do think he probably has like some sort of thought of like, this is what we need to do in order to beat them. And like you said, like, yeah, maybe LGD respond with a new idea, but I think that just gives them more info for later on in the tournament.
True. You're totally right. Like, I think Secret is one of a few teams that also always has really fresh ideas.
Yeah.
Like, I remember at the Animajor seeing it was Broodmother Ursa. And so they had the Ursa counters every Brood counter, essentially, like Legion Commander, et cetera, et cetera. So they would just put the Ursa behind the Broodmother in the game, and then they would also play it on Radiant. They would take over the enemy jungle, and then they get the free Roshan for Ursa. And it's like this complementary thing that before seeing it there, I'd never thought of it. And it's like, all right, that's like such a puppy thing to come up with that.